Hello, do you hear me well?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, great.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
If it's
So, thank you for joining me. Can you just tell us your first name and your age, and just a little bit about your occupation or your background?
my name is Alexei. I'm 40. I work as a programmer.
Mhm. And what part of the Ukraine are you from?
I'm in the central Ukraine, and
Mhm.
now we moved to Western.
Oh,
Had
so you're
to
in West.
move. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
now in the Western, stay
now
in the
you're in the
Western.
western part of the country. And where were you, or what were you doing when you had to evacuate?
Well, we woke up at 5:10 in the morning by some bomb explosion, and then we heard several multiple uh, big shots. They sounded also like explosions. But then later we were told that they are from anti-missile system. So, but we had only several minutes to decide to make the decision, and then we gathered all the things and made some calls and then went from home. We had to decide quickly because by news we were prepared that there will be invasion to Kyiv, and it should come from north. And as soon as Kyiv has only several bridges, and our evacuation pass is from right bank of Dnipro River, and we were staying on the left bank of the river, so we had to cross all those bridges first of all, and that's why we had to act very quickly, because I was expecting that there will be too much traffic over the bridges due to panic, because it was a really frightening experience to hear all the things and to understand that the war and the invasion began, actually.
Right. Well, it's something you've been, I guess, waiting for now for at that point for a few weeks, if not a few months. So it was finally there.
We haven't waited for it. We actually haven't believed it too much. So we prepared a bit. We haven't prepared carefully enough. As we see now, we only took documents and some clothing, but it was the living. We left our home for 10 minutes or so, pretty quick, without taking a lot of necessary things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to be prepared better, but nobody could expect it that might happen. We knew that it might be possible that they will invade those eastern regions, Donetsk, that they were already occupied by those Russia forces, but we never thought that they will bomb the cities.
Right. Mm-hmm. So who else did you leave home with, and then before you started to make your way west?
Now we took my wife's mother, also my cousin, and we went to take my sister, and then they lived in Kyiv at the time. So when we gathered all of them, we spent a lot of time gathering all of them, and that's why we had very big traffic already on the west and exits from Kyiv. So we actually spent almost whole day driving and staying in traffic, trying to avoid the traffic on some suburb exits and routes. We actually were driving near Hostomel airport, where at that time they tried to unload or load some of their air forces on that airport. And at that time, our defense units also started the fighting. It was also not very pleasant experience. Well, driving and hearing those shots and seeing the flights, air jets flying, and military units driving on the same roads where we are driving, and so on. But yeah, in any case, that was only the first day, and I know that people who evacuated later, they had even more frightening experience, because there were more damages on roads and more block posts, etc.
So, how many hours did it take you to get from Kiev to where you are now?
Well, usually we have 5 drive there. So usually it takes 5 hours to get where we are now. But that day we started at, as I mentioned it. So we woke up at 5:10, and then we went at 5:20, I guess, and then we arrived around 8 p.m. So it took almost whole day.
Right. So it took 15 hours, and it sounds like the first few hours you were not only in traffic but actually driving through the war.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Initially it was mostly the panic. All those people who were leaving. And between Kyiv and Zhytomyr, it's another big city on the western route or road, western Ukraine. So the speed was very slow. Sometimes people on banks were by foot. They were going much faster than we are, and. But finally we were able to escape, and it's now it's a more safer place where we are located now. Well, there is still a lot of tension, and it's nervous here because we have those air ride sirens daily, multiple times. Day before yesterday, we had 7 sirens during day. Yesterday was 2. Today already 3 or 4 already. I don't remember. We counted them first, but now it's just like a routine. So we hear a siren and go to the basement. And then go back. So, and the one was just 20 minutes ago.
Right. Yeah, we got delayed. Our call got delayed because you had to go into the basement with an air raid siren going off. And what did you leave some family behind in Kiev? Not everyone, did everyone evacuate?
Yeah, actually, well, my wife's mother decided not to go with us. She actually went initially, but when we arrived to Kyiv, and then she saw that it's possible that we would not return soon, not return home soon, then she decided to leave and to go home, and we couldn't stop her. So she was able to return by subway. It was still working at that time. When she was returning, so between subway and our city, there is some bus route, and when she were driving, that was exactly the same time when a new missile, a new explosion was near. She saw she saw already that they bombed or exploded in buildings and fire, etc. So, but everything else worked like before. We actually saw, so when we were staying in traffic, we saw many people going to work as usual, and so that there were half of people going to work and half of people with those bags and going or evacuating like we were. So
Right.
it was a strange experience. Like some shops were still open, the coffee shops still open, the people started to trade something. And half of people were already in panic, trying to leave the city.
Well, I'm sure that's changed at this point. You evacuated, I think it was about 5 or 6 days ago. Who do you know? Do you know people, colleagues of yours that are on the, or relatives that are fighting right now, either in the streets or on the borders?
I'm sorry, Mordy. I haven't heard you.
Oh, I was just asking if you have family or friends that are that have picked up the arms and are fighting now, fighting the Russian army now, either in the streets or.
Well, I know some people who stayed in Kyiv. They were in some local defenses groups, so it's not military. It's
Civilian.
Yeah, they are civilian groups. So I don't know how it can be described in English, but that's actually everyone who was willing to go, and they had some good health and some good recommendations. They could take a passport, go to some point, and they were equipped with some gun, with some ammunition, and so their main goal was to build those local defense to help civilians, because military works outside the city at that time, at least.
Right. And you need people inside the city to defend.
Yeah, and as soon as some people when martial law was introduced, then we had some people who were in reserve. They went to military forces.
Mm-hmm.
But there are multiple levels of those people, and not everyone had to go. For example, I should go in force role, But many people still wanted to help, and that's why they introduced those local units, defense units, that everyone who wanted to help, they just could join. And I know that they were equipped very soon, and then they even declined new people because they were fully equipped, and no need for for new people there. So there
Right.
were more people willing to get there than they were planned, actually.
Right. Right. Are you able to follow the news where you are now of what's happening on the eastern, northern, or southern parts of the country?
Excuse me, could you repeat?
Yeah. Are you able to follow the news now? Are you able to follow what's going on from where you are?
Yeah, actually, we well, the first day when we just arrived, and here it was like a usual normal life. It was very in contrast even with Kyiv, because everybody was calm, no panic, no queues in the shops, no queues on fuel for fuel. But already I think that many people who arrived from Kyiv, like we, also told that it's not told them that it's true, and that happened, that actually happened, and that actually happened with their relatives. So, and the next day was when they realized that there is war too, and all those nerves and panic started also here. Not panic, but when people started to shop more for primary goods, to use for fuel, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. But now it was pretty hard for first 3 days, but now I guess already more or less settled. So there is no panic. Everybody is preparing, trying to help together. Something for those local defense groups, for military forces to help, etc.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you know, but the entire, I think, Western world, all the countries in the West, Europe, United States, really around the world, are rallying around the Ukrainian people and the government. I don't know if you get that kind of news where you are now, and everyone's doing whatever they can to support Ukraine. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I know. We heard a lot of support. We see that on the news channels. We are now reading all the news almost all the time. It's actually very hard to do anything else except for reading news. And yeah, we see the support. We hear it from our clients, from friends, from my colleagues or my classmates who just live abroad right now, and then we see that they are also aware. We saw those many demonstrations in different countries for support. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad that people see that. What is your hope for the future?
Oh, well, the hope is that it finishes soon, of course, and with less damages and less victims. But we are still very pessimistic of what could happen, because from our understanding, they should, well, they won't win, and they cannot. They already killed so many own people, and already made so many damages that they just cannot live without any winning in this war. So we are still expecting for worse, and now every day they're trying to bomb more and more civilian objects, buildings, everything not related to military, and like they claim. And well, the more and more civilian become victims, and that's actually very frightening, awful.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to anyone who's listening to this podcast? Anything you want to share, or any final words to folks that are listening now?
Sorry, Mori. Again, I haven't heard your last word.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything you want to say? Anything else you want to say to people listening to this podcast? Anything that you want them to know?
Well, probably that if anyone could support or help our army, there are some formal and formal sources where it's possible to do, and we all will be very grateful for that, and hope that this war will end soon, and less people are killed. So.
Okay. Alexei, thank you again for taking the time to speak with me. We wish that you and your family and your country be free from suffering soon. And as I mentioned, our country, United States, the Western world, all civilization around the world is rallying around the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian government. We have a great admiration for your people and the heroic efforts to remain free. So great appreciation, because you're not only fighting for yourselves, but you're fighting really for, I think, all people that want to be free. So thank you very much. And
thank you, Mordi.
Please stay safe.
I'm sorry, I have to leave. We have the siren again.
Go ahead. Okay, please stay safe. Okay, bye-bye.
Sorry.